Hello everyone, my name is Sammy Pellegrini and I'll be talking to you today about how to improvise with the blues scale, so we can learn about some of the possibilities the blues scale offers for us during improvisation. To build a blues scale, you just need a pentatonic minor scale with an extra note added right in the middle between the fourth and the fifth of the equivalent major scale. So let's start with the most basic example, which is the blues scale over the blues form. You can use the blues scale for the music key that you're playing over the whole blues form without caring about individual chords. Let's see an example of that. As you may have noticed, I'm always playing the same scale. This is the C blues scale. I'm playing a major blues in C, so it's in C major, and I'm using the C blues scale all the time. Even if I'm in the F chord, moving away from the C chord and playing a different chord which is not a tonic, I'm always playing the same scale. The same works for the dominant. So that's one usage for the blues scale. We can extrapolate this to a more tonal environment and move away from the blues form, which is a very raw form grounded in iconic stylistic elements like the blues shuffle pattern. This pattern is heavily modal. There is something tonal about it, but there is a strong modal element, mostly around the blues scale. But if we move to a more modern environment, which is what you would play if, for example, you are doing some bebop, you would use a 2-5-1 progression, and you could use the blues scale over the 2-5-1 just the same as you did with the blues form. So if you play a 2-5-1 in C major, you can use the C blues scale. You can extend this even further and use it for all kinds of progressions. It doesn't have to be those specific chords. For example, you can use a 2-5-1-6 progression. Those are a few examples of the same blues scale used over the whole harmonic context. Now let's think a bit more about the blues scale options that you have. If you are playing in a major key, you can use the blues scale for the current key. So in the case of the previous 2-5-1 I was playing in C major, I was using the C blues scale. But you could also use the blues scale of the minor relative of C major, which is A minor, so you could use the A blues scale. The reason for that is that the notes from the blues scale of the minor relative fit perfectly with the major 6th chord, plus the minor third for C major, which is a blue note. To build the A blues scale, you need a pentatonic minor scale with an added note between the 4th and the 5th degree of the equivalent minor scale. And you can use it the same way you use the C blues scale, provided that you're playing over the same harmonic context. This rule also works for the blues form. That can give you an idea of how many possibilities the blues scale offers for us. Now I will describe yet another usage of the blues scale. If you've been following along, you may have noticed that we are taking the main tonic for the key and using the blues scale for that chord. So in the case of C major, we will be using the C blues scale. But I can also use the minor relative, and the minor relative could be a good replacement for the tonic. In classical harmony, there are different types of cadences, and what the theory says is that you can replace a major chord by its minor relative and it can also work as tonic, which is known as deceptive cadence. So in a 2-5-1 progression, I can replace the C major chord with A minor. There is another replacement that you can do, which is with the third degree of the scale. So if you are in C major, you can replace it with E minor. This is because the root, the third, and the fifth of E minor match the third, the fifth, and the seventh of C major, which makes them very similar to the listener's ear. This is almost like doing. In the context of the blues scale, that means that we can use the E blues scale for a C major chord. The key takeaway from this is that any blues scale that you can apply on the tonic can be extended to the whole harmonic context surrounding that tonic. Another thing that you can do is swap one scale with another as long as you are playing in the same harmonic context, and alternate between the main tonic blues scale and its minor relative for the same harmonic sequence. Let's see an example. What I'm doing here is play the relative minor or the main tonic blues scale in the context of a 2-5-1-6 progression in the key of C major. This provides different harmonic elements to explore while maintaining a pleasant harmonic environment for the listener. The feeling that all the chords are connected, that they are part of the same harmonic space, that one chord leads to the other, and there is an interconnection between them. So it's not just every chord played as an isolated block. It's more like the whole group playing in a sequence, and the scale driving the connection between the chords. The last usage of the blues scale we will explore today is to use the blues scale of each chord. We need to be very cautious when doing this, as given the strong modal element of the blues scale, it's very easy for a blues scale to take over the harmonic context and make the listener believe that the scale they are hearing is the main tonic. This is called tonicization. For example, if you are playing a D minor 7th chord, you could play the D blues scale. The issue with this is that if this chord is playing in the context of a 2-5-1 and you insist on matching it with the blues scale, it could be confusing for a listener, because the D blues scale would drive the listener's ear to believe that you are playing in D minor. So you need to be very cautious when doing that. But you can still do it if you provide a strong resolution on the main tonic. Let's hear an example of playing the blues scale for each chord. In this example, I was matching the blues scale for each chord, but it was much more effort for me to think about 4 different scales rather than just having to think about one. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you join me again on the next lesson about blues scale improvisation. Thank you.